I don't get the chat in there, so I get it here. Where is the live chat? Okay. Okay, so we are live. More questions?
Sure. Can you explain this part why you shift it down and that E1 minus ENSC? I don't get the meaning behind it.
What was he explaining with this?
I guess with the MEC.
Is this the demand?
Yeah, it's the demand.
Well, the I guess because I wasn't in that, I wasn't there in that lecture, but I guess what he's saying is that the difference between the demand and the net benefits is the marginal extraction cost.
The difference between the demand and
the net benefits is the marginal extraction cost. But again, I don't know because I don't know the context of that graph.
Yeah, 36 market failure, like there's a list of when market failure occurs, and then
Of when what?
of like I guess when market failure occurs,
Market failure, yeah.
and then number 4, like there's a list, and then 4 is equity.
Equity. Okay.
Like it's,
We talked about that a little bit in class. So markets are very efficient and they allocate. You can come in, whoever's there. There's space here. So markets are very good at allocating resources, and they are very good at doing the best with what we have, right? So if the market is with perfect competition, has perfect information, there's no public goods, and there's no externalities, then our market allocation will be the best that society can do. However, there's no guarantee, never, that the outcome of the market will be equitable. And what that means is equitable.
okay.
What that means is there's no guarantee that we as a society are having a fair, no, I don't want to use fair, like a good distribution of the social net benefits. Does that make sense? So again, the market is going to be efficient at how it allocates the goods, but the market cannot deal with equity. So every time we have an exchange in the market, it's going to be the best that society can do with that initial distribution, right? But we don't know if society can do better in terms of the initial exchange. So let me give you an example. One example is someone that is poor going to the market and can get less of food than someone that is, let's say, very rich, right? When this poor person goes to the market and gets their food, the market is being efficient at giving that person the best they can get with that amount of money they have, right? But whether that is fair or not to society, that's a whole nother issue. So markets are not equitable.
So if you define equity like a one-word sentence,
Like a one-word sentence.
only in one sentence. That one works. And then like what's it?
I'll say equity is the fairness. I don't want to use fairness. It's just how. Yeah, but the fairness has, because markets are fair in terms of how they distribute the benefits in the market, but not after or before. So let's say that equity.
Is equity like social intent?
Yeah, equity. Yeah, thank you. Equity, it'll be like how are we socially distributing the benefits of the economy. Okay, so I got a question online, which is Hotelling's rule. Question 6 and 7 in quiz number 4. Can I explain Hotelling's rule? So I think that was this question, right? Does anyone have question 6 and 7 in the problem set 4? Oh yeah. So again, and for those of you who already saw this, we will have our marginal net benefit in period 1, and we will have our marginal net benefit in period 2. But we know this equals P2 minus MEC over 1 plus R. So because we have this R right here, that means that this curve right here is going to be always less steep than our first period curve, right? So what happens, question 6, it says what happens when R goes up? What happens when R goes up? Yeah, the slope goes down. So that means that our new curve would look like this, right? Note that it's pivoting, so this point is not changing. The only thing that is changing is the slope of the curve, right? So that's it for 6. Now 7 asks, what would happen if there's an increase in population in period 2? Oh, you already saw that. Yeah. So this curve right here will shift out, but it's not pivoting, right? Because we're not changing the slope. We're changing the marginal net benefits.
Edgar, why did you like marginal net benefit? Why did you change the meaning of it? What's the marginal net benefit?
Just marginal net benefit is P1 minus MEC minus equals P2 minus MEC over 1 plus R. So this is your marginal net benefit. It's just an interchangeable term.
Okay.
So I hope that's clear for whomever is watching us online. Any other questions?
You said about Hotelling, like about the pivot point can't pass the first period.
Yeah, so we have that. There's 2 intersection points, right? So for period 1, it'll be this right here. But because this curve in period 2 has less slope than the period 1, this is going to be less than this all the time. And R, as it approaches to 0, these 2 curves will be, in the limit, will be equal, right? But it will never go beyond this, because then that doesn't make sense. We will need to change the P for both. For that.
You usually ask a question on like OPEC.
About what?
OPEC.
He would probably ask a question about like how they behave, but he will not ask like In 1967, what was the no?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, there's a lot.
Yeah, no. It's more. What's the consequences of having a cartel in the market?
Edgar,
Yeah, they're restricting the supply. Mm-hmm.
were you in class when he drew this chart about the short run and the long run?
No, but what is it
I
about?
didn't-
I was in
really-
Mexico when those classes happened.
Oh, because I'm confused why he shifted the short run.
But what section is that?
When he talks about long run and short run, the more electricity and the less electricity.
The what?
The more electricity and the less
Elasticity.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, first let's start defining what is elasticity.
It is
Yeah.
how to respond.
Is the percentage change in quantity given a percentage change in price, right? This is our definition of elasticity. And I don't know if I didn't see it there. Now let me see if he's talking about short run.
Well, there's
Long run. Mm-hmm.
And this is just how
I think
look.
the example was oil embargo. I don't know what oil embargo means.
Embargo, well, that means an embargo means that they will stop trading with someone, right? So if there's an oil embargo, that means they're not going to buy oil from someone, or they can. It can go either way, yeah. And it can have an effect as it's going to shift the supply this way. So the quantity is going to go down and the price is going to go up. Or if it's an embargo from the consumers, the demand is going to go down. Again, the quantity is going to go down and the price is going to go up.
Right, since they're going to supply less oil, then the demand will go down as well.
Yeah. And this is in the short run. But then as more firms enter the market, these can go back to these or the slope can change or so I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, I think you're right. How about the long run, supply long run and demand long run?
Well, that's what I was saying. In the long run, as more firms enter the market, these can go back to the original point, right? Even with the embargo. Does that make sense?
Because it's in a longer time period now, and
Mhm.
they're not going to supply much of the oil anymore. So
Well, at the beginning, there's a shock because they will not supply enough to the market. But there's an opportunity for other firms to go and fill that gap. But it doesn't happen in the short run, it has to happen in the long run, right? Yeah? That's the only thing I can say. There's not much context of that graph. I don't know what's going on in the graph.
I think he was talking about oil embargo.
So, and what's happening with the elasticity of oil over time as we become less dependent on oil? Hmm?
Becomes inelastic.
It becomes inelastic, right? No, it becomes more elastic. I'm
More
sorry.
elastic.
More elastic, which means is for every change in price is going to be the response is going to be more, right? So when it's becoming more elastic, that means that the slope is reducing, right? So If there's a minimum change in here in price, the effect on the quantity is going to be large. A good that is inelastic, that means that no matter what price we put in there, people are going to buy it. So a perfectly elastic good would look like this.
Inelastic.
So no matter what price, people are going to buy it.
Inelasticity was on.
And a perfectly elastic good will be horizontal. Yeah? So in the long run, as we become less and less dependent on oil, we are becoming less inelastic to changes in price of oil, right?
Because there's a lower pricing, right?
Because there's a bigger response in the consumer side. If the prices of oil go up, if you have an alternative, you probably go with the alternative. If you don't have an alternative, you have no other way but to pay the price that they're charging you. Yeah? Does that make sense?
So, like, inelastic would be, there's nothing you can do, right? So
Yeah,
there's
inelastic
no
is-
change in price or quantity.
Inelastic means that
Has more hybrid
your response to an increase in price will be less than your response when you are more elastic. So think about
Gas is currently inelastic. There's no other alternative.
I mean, that's the whole point.
it's sort of inelastic. Yeah. Well, gas is a good example. I mean,
That's the actual definition.
people usually don't stop driving because gas prices go up to point, right? So
When you
That's
say
why it's more inelastic.
gas is inelastic.
when you say inelastic, do you mean more elastic?
No. When I say inelastic, it means that your change in quantity is going to be less less strong given a change in price.
So less elastic. But inelastic.
It's just less or more elastic that has to deal with a number. If you said inelastic, that means that you can't stop consuming that good. So you'll pay whatever price it's in the market for that good. That's inelastic. Elastic is the price for diamonds. I mean, diamonds are cheap, people are gonna buy diamonds. They are very expensive, people are probably not gonna buy diamonds. Yeah?
Then you're changing quantity. More. If the price goes up, you're less happy.
But always take this into account. It's the percentage change over a percentage change. It's not the absolute change because that's another thing. That's a propensity and different. So don't get tricked. If you find a question that says elasticity is the change in quantity given a change in price, wrong. It's the percentage change in quantity given a percentage change in price.
So that's basically the definition of elasticity.
So it's not what? Can you say that again? It's not what?
So like absolute.
It's not absolute. So if the question says elasticity is the change of quantity given a change of price, it's wrong. Because it's a percentage change in quantity given a percentage change in price. So it's the same as with Hoteling's rule, right? It's not the same as to say Hoteling's rule says that price equals the rate of interest. Wrong. Hoteling's rule says the speed at which prices are raising is the same as the speed of the rate of interest, or is the same as the rate of interest. So it's different, right? Yeah.
This is on the free rider concept. Like, what kind of question will you ask about free rider? Because I understand the concept, but I don't know what kind of question you would ask.
So you buy all the
Well, I could. This is again just my guess. This is how I would evaluate the free rider. I can give you four examples of 4 situations. So A is someone rides the bus for free, or yeah, without paying. B, someone gets an A in a group project without working. C, someone steals water from the store.
Wait, you're talking about free rider?
Yeah. And D, you get a free ride from your friend. Right. Which of these situations explain best the free rider problem? B, right? Because in a group project, once the professor gives you the A is for everyone, right? So that means that if someone did not contribute, they still get the A, and that person's A is not taking anything from your A, and you cannot exclude that person from that A, right? So in this case, this will be the right answer. But again, this is how I would ask you the question. Why is it not A?
Take the bus, the other person doesn't.
And plus, it's a rival good, right? If I take a seat in the bus, you cannot take the same seat I'm taking. And it's excludable because if I close the door, I can tell you not to ride the bus, right? So it's not A. Why is it not C? The same thing. Because a bottle of water is rival and it's excludable. And why is it not D? Because D is ridiculous.
So the free rider then basically taking advantage of the groups.
Yeah. That is a good definition. Is people have no incentive to contribute to a good they know it's going to be provided.
It's non-rival.
Because it's not rival. Positive or negative externalities. So first, let's start defining externality.
You get this one.
Yeah, it's being streamed right now. Let's start defining what are externalities. Yeah, externalities happen when not all relevant costs or all relevant benefits are taken into account when making a consumption or production decision. Yeah, that is a technical definition. Now, negative externality means that the private cost marginal private cost is lower than the marginal social cost. Yeah? So we face a demand, we will have that the quantity in the market will be greater than the quantity that will be socially optimal. Yeah? Okay. An example of a negative externality that is not the factory that contaminates the air.
Someone paints their house red, bright red.
Uh-huh.
Your neighbors don't like it.
Yeah, that's a negative externality. That's an aesthetic negative externality, right? What else? You know what happened in Idlewild, like last year? You know, in Idlewild, that's the place where they produce sriracha, right? And the neighbors wanted to close the factory because of the smell of the sriracha factory, right? However, the producers of sriracha have no incentive to control because that's not part of their costs, right? However, they imposing the cost into society by them producing sriracha. Or a noisy neighbor, right? Or what do you mean? Like,
No, because I'm trying to like, what would be like cost?
No, it's affecting the welfare.
yeah, okay, so this is important. When I say cost, I don't mean only dollars. Is there someone there? You can come in if you want. There's like space in here. Okay. So when I say cost, I don't mean only dollars. Cost can mean time. Cost can be measured in comfort. Cost can be measured in health issues. So a cost is not only in dollar terms. A cost can be anything that is basically reducing your welfare. Yeah. And then you're not getting any benefit out of it. Yeah. So that's an example of a negative externality. Now, what would be an example of a positive externality that is not the flowers?
Like for breathing a room.
Yeah,
Oh, vaccines, right?
vaccines.
Yeah.
I like that one, and I mentioned it a lot.
Yeah, you said.
But let's go ahead. Let's do another one because vaccines we did it in discussion. Well, first, before the example, how would a negative, positive externality look like? So if we have a regular supply and demand, so this is our marginal private cost, this is our marginal private benefit. How would a positive externality look like?
Wait, did you like randomly pick which curve would be marginal private cost?
It's not randomly, and that's part of the answer.
Wait, why did you write it like that? Because then on his PowerPoint, he said marginal private benefit and then marginal social benefit.
Yeah, well, for the positive externality, we're going to talk about a marginal social benefit, right? So a marginal social benefit that is not the same as the marginal private benefit, that's a positive externality. So that means that the market is going to supply less than would be socially optimal. Yeah?
Private benefits are so low, right?
But not so low, but they are lower than everybody else's benefit. Yeah? So who has an example of this that is not the vaccines or the flowers? Someone from the outside. If you ask someone from the outside.
What's a positive externality?
Just an example.
Yeah.
Fuel efficiency. Yeah, that was also mentioned in discussion, but let's take that one. If I buy a fuel efficient car, let's say I buy a Prius, I will do it for my own benefit because I want to spend less money on gas, right? However, by me spending less money on gas, I'm also emitting less CO2 into the environment, so I'm helping the environment or the air quality for society, right? So it means that my private benefits are lower than the social benefits, and therefore, the market is going to supply less than it will be socially optimal. Less than it will be socially optimal. Yeah?
So benefits are less than what?
The marginal social benefits. Yeah? So we good with externalities?
Why are they supplying less of that?
Just look at the graph. You're going to make the decision just based on your private benefits and your private costs, right? So that means that you're going to decide to consume here. However, the marginal social benefits are all the way here. So the efficient level in the market will be here, right?
But wouldn't you still be getting a pretty good amount of benefits?
Oh yeah, you'll get all these benefits.
Nobody.
So why is it so much less than the social benefit?
Because you're not taking into account the benefit that everyone is receiving from your decision of consuming something.
It's like that, imagine the cost.
So in other words, you are benefiting society and they are not paying you for benefiting society. Yeah?
Why would the market supply less?
Hmm?
Why would the market supply less?
Why would the market? Because you're making the decision based on your private cost and your private benefits, right? So you're not going to buy a car to just benefit society because you are like altruistic. You're going to buy a car because you want to spend less money in gas. Yeah? So by doing that, you're benefiting society. So in reality, if we would like people to buy more fuel-efficient cars, we will have to pay them a premium. So they will consider moving from here to here, right? Does that make sense?
And then what's the MPC that we said?
What's what?
What is that defined?
Marginal private cost.
And there's an additional margin of private cost.
Well, that's when the marginal private cost is less than the marginal social cost. That's when there's a negative externality.
But here the marginal private cost is higher.
There's only one marginal private cost. And we assume that this is equal to the marginal social cost, just for simplicity.
So is that just like showing like a positive slope?
Yeah.
Positivity.
Not positivity. This is, think about this as a supply curve. Yeah?
Wait, you said so when it's beyond marginal social benefits, negative externality, is that what you said?
When we're talking about benefits, it's a positive externality, right?
There'll be something like when it's beyond that, it turns into a negative. But,
No. Again, when we talk about benefits, it's a positive externality, right? If we would like people to go from here to here, then we will have to compensate them, right? But that's policy. We are not there yet. That's what I said. Maybe, I don't know.
no, I'm listening to it.
Okay. So, any questions with externalities?
But the additional private cost is higher.
No, in this situation, it's just the same. The marginal private cost and the marginal social cost is the same, just for simplicity purposes.
Because you're getting a benefit that society is also.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's continue then. Another question. Let me check online because there might be people. Sorry to the people online. I can ignore them. Can I explain elasticity graphically? Okay, let's explain it again, just to make sure. Is there a situation where marginal private benefits are greater or equal to marginal social benefits? Yeah. Marginal social benefits, when they are greater than marginal private benefits, that's when a positive externality means. No. Elasticity graphically. Okay. So we have Q Q, and P, right? We have our regular demand curve. And this right here is the slope of our demand curve, right? So that means that if I'm in this point, and I increase the price by a certain percentage, and I move to P2, the percentage change of this, given this percentage change, that will be our elasticity. Yeah? I'm just explaining to the people online that they ask. How elasticity would change? Well, if the slope of this changes, if it becomes less steep, this curve is getting less elastic. No, more elastic. As it becomes steeper, it becomes inelastic. As it becomes horizontal or less steep, it becomes more elastic. Yeah? And again, that's because when it's steeper, that means that the price can raise as much as it could, and the quantity is not going to change as much as if the price goes up a little bit. You can see how much the price changes in this curve right here. Yeah?
Yeah, this is for curiosity. What if change in price was equal to change in quantity? So would that, like, or exactly equal, would that just be like,
The elasticity of 1?
yeah, so that's,
Well, that goes with, like, it's just the perfect minus, what is?
does that even actually happen?
Yeah, that can happen. But it's just, it will go 1 and 1%. You know, like 1% change in price will change 1% in quantity. So it's probably not a very interesting case.
So would you call that elastic or just like,
Well, there's different measures for when to call a good elastic or inelastic, but depending on the textbook, they're going to tell you different things. So they're going to say, well, if it's less than 1, that means that it's inelastic. If it's more than 1, then that means it's elastic. But they have different definitions.
Steeper was more inelastic.
Steeper is inelastic.
What do you mean by the change in percentage?
So
Why percentage?
of price. So let's see. The formula would be P2 minus P1 over P1. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not mistaken. My formulas for percentage change might be that this could be P1. So you will start with a price 1, right? And if you move to a price 2, and you calculate what is the percentage of change from price 1, let's say you go from 5 to 10. The absolute change is 5, right? But what is the percentage change? It's 100%. Yeah? And if you move in the quantity from 10 to 5 with this percentage change, you're basically changing 50%.
Why is it not 100%?
From 10 to 5, what's the percentage
I
change?
mean, I know that's why is
Its whole itself, yeah. Its whole self 1 to 10. 5 is 100, so 1
Yeah.
to 10 is
100%.
Yeah. So if you put this, you're gonna get the elasticity for which is 0. Yeah.
Well, I'm getting like elasticity is just like it's a bunch of changing going on.
Yeah.
And you said like the more steeper it is, it's inelastic.
Mm-hmm. So that means that the perfect inelastic good would look like this, right? So that means that no matter how much the price changes, the change in Q is 0, right? So as it becomes more and more horizontal, the change in Q is going to be larger and larger given a change in P, right?
So that's elastic.
So as it becomes less steep, it becomes more elastic until it is like perfect, it's like perfectly elastic, which means that the change in Q is it's infinite given a change in P. You know?
So elastic seems like it's like a change in like supplies along with things.
Demand. This is we're talking about demand. Yeah. Yeah.
But, like, you have the same understanding.
Well, as I said, change in quantity given a change in price is only a move along the curve, right? It's only moving from here to here. Yeah. It's an absolute change, but the elasticity tells us the percentage change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the life? Yeah. What type of graphs would we have to draw or explain if asked in short answer? Well, because this class is basically graphic, I would study your non-renewable graphs, not the ones particular to a certain type of resource, but how we optimize over time. You know, I would study your imperfect competition graphs. I would study the externalities graphs. What else? What else? Do you remember any other graphs that we studied that I'm missing?
Cartel.
Cartel, hotel links. Yeah. Is the reduction in elasticity due to a reduction in the non-renewable supply? The reduction in elasticity has to deal with either finding better alternatives or the reduction in elasticity is either the good is becoming more scarce or we are depending more on a certain good. Yeah. So basically, when the demand becomes inelastic, we are getting more dependent on something. Yeah. In the long run, the idea is that we become less dependent on non-renewable resources. So that's why the idea of intergenerational equity means that the fact that we are using non-renewable resources now is to build capital so the next generations are less dependable on non-renewable. So we make them better off than we are. That's what intergenerational equity would mean.
Well, in a way, we're kind of forced.
But I mean, that's another issue, yeah, right? Because whether or not that's the case, that's a different thing. Like, we can debate if we are indeed giving the future generations a better start with our decisions today. If we're not, then we're doing something wrong.
But how are we leaving them more capital for taking out?
It's a trade-off, right? So you use non-renewable to build capital. So that means you extract oil to create plastics, whatever. But, I mean, this is just an example. You extract aluminum to create machines, right? So those machines are capital goods, yeah? But you are using a non-renewable to build a capital good. Once this capital good is made, the future generation is not going to have to use that aluminum that you extracted because you already made this. So they will be better off as a society, right?
Everything's already made.
Kind of. So leaving more capital to the next societies or the next generations, that is the idea of sustainability. So we use the resources today, but we are leaving something better for the next generations. That's debatable. We don't know. I mean, I don't have an answer for that.
Is he gonna go over the police and choice strategies? What do you think? I feel like he didn't go over that much.
I think that's section 11.
But it's still on.
It's 10.
Yeah.
Maybe we should check that.
I feel like it's just what impact.
Yeah, I think those are like, is it the list of things?
Yeah.
Be like source control, reuse, treatment, timing, location, investment,
Like less and like that.
Yeah. Okay. So someone is requesting a discounting example over multiple years. So if we want to calculate it, let's say oil field. What will be the price of an oil field today if we expect that the future value over 4 periods of time will be and the interest rate is 30% or 0.3. How do we calculate this?
Like future rows over parentheses.
Over
1 plus 0.3.
yeah, 2. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this will be to the power of 1. It's like that. This will be to power of 2. This will be to the power of 3, and yeah, and we will sum them up together, and the summation of this will be our price for the oil field.
So I'm assuming if we do have a question that the math will be trivial enough that we don't require a calculator.
Yeah, I think he said you are not going to require a calculator. At least last mention you did, right? So yeah, the numbers are going to be very easy. Yeah. So any other questions?
Which one was this question?
Hmm?
What question for this?
Oh, this is a discounting question. Another type of question of discounting can arise like, if I have an asset that is worth $100 today, and I expect the price in the second period to be 150, and the rate of interest is 30%, what will be my decision?
Wait, are you thinking about selling now or later?
Yeah,
Secondary.
Second day.
yeah, right? Because then if we sell today, put this money in the bank, and get the interest rate, what we'll get, yeah?
So we would get 130 today, but the next day instead we get 150.
So you will sell. So that's another way that discounting can come up.
So first you start selling with $100, and after you earn that $100, put it in a bank, and then that $100 will rise with the 30% of rate of interest. So your total amount that you earn will be 130, which is less than your future amount.
Yeah.
What if we're discounting? We just need to find future value of like say year 4. Like you don't have to talk about like 1, 2.
Well, you'll have that your right. So if I'm here, and I want to know how much my 400 will be, or again, if I want to find this, so I will start with my present value today and calculate it by or discounted by the rate of interest, and I will know how much am I gonna get in the future. It's the same as here. So I have a present value of 100. I multiply it by 1.3, so I get 130. It can be the other way around too. I can discount this by the rate of interest. And compare this value to this value, and this has to be less than 100. Or let's put 90 in the room. I mean, I haven't done the math of this, but this has to be less than 100. Yeah? No, actually more. I'm sorry, because the decision was to sell. This has to be more than 100 for us to wait one period. Yeah? Because if it's not greater, you will not wait.
Oh, that's the point.
Oh, it's not that one. It's SC, and it's blue.
Oh, the one that says economics.
That doesn't say economics. It says Scantron. Let me bring one and I'll show you. Yeah, and I'm good with you.
Is it okay if we get the blue one?
Oh yeah,
It
it
says
doesn't.
you didn't care about size.
The size doesn't matter.
Nobody had like literally cost. When we go back to
Okay, so this is the form. Yeah, it's blue. It has student ID in here. It has version. It has subjective score, and multiple choice. Yeah, let me show you. When you say expect a certain price in question of making decision, is the price you expect the price you will gain as a benefit? Okay, basically it's asking if the expected price is what I get in the future, like as a benefit. So yes. So when I talk that this is the price that I expect in the future, that's already all the money that I'm gonna get in the future. Yeah. And again, I mentioned this earlier. Don't be creative. If the question says that's the expected price, don't start thinking, oh, but what if there's uncertainty and the interest? No, it's just very clear, very simple. If it says expected price, that's the price that you're going to see in the future. Period. Yeah. Don't put anything else in the question, because then that's when it starts to get complicated. The future value, expected future value, that will be the right term.
And then if you wanted to figure out the present value and expected future value, use that whole formula, right?
Yeah, you can discount it like here. If he asks what would be the present value of 150 in 20 years, then you discount this by 20, right?
Like that's this gas.
How much would be $100 value in 20 years?
Oh,
That's a good present.
Any other questions? We still have like 7 minutes.
So I guess like the last one, point source versus non-point source. Like the last thing.
Okay, there's one question saying if I could go through different types of curves and what would cause them to change. Well, it depends. It really depends on the type of question that we're asking, right? If we are talking about a 2-period maximization, what will make them change? Well, the interest rate, an expected increase in population, or a decrease in population in period 1 or period 2. So it depends what type of question we're talking about.
So it's either population or interest rate.
Okay. So the price in the statement, if you only expect to get 215,000 next year, what would you do? So that means, and this is from the problem set 4, remember? So that means that I'm going to compare those 215,000 with the 220 that I would get if I put that money in the bank. And then I would make a decision, in this case, to sell this period and put it in the bank to get the 20% discount rate. And then the increase in population in second period. Well, I already explained that one. The curve will shift out because there's an increase in the marginal net benefits of the good in the second period. Yeah. Any other questions? I don't know if you can actually see, but hopefully. Any other questions?
So make sure like all these graphs that you worry about like the area under the curve or anything about like that.
I mean the area under the curve of a benefit curve, what would be total benefit, right? The area under the curve of a cost, like marginal cost, will be the total cost. I can't think of any other, because we only have seen basically supply and demand curves. We haven't seen any other type of curves. I mean, the area under the marginal revenue curve will be total revenue, right?
Here on the video, it says category count.
Yeah, I know.
And 10 people watching.
Nice. That's okay.
Yeah, it's like there's a small delay, but
Oh, there's like a 30-second delay or 20-second delay. Yeah.
Could you explain how like under like market failure a curve is the downward sloping demand?
Under wait, what?
Like under market failure,
Uh-huh.
the firm has a downward sloping curve for demand,
Well, the demand curve is always downward sloping.
right?
Always.
And then it says, I'm just looking at number 1 for market failure. And it says the marginal revenue rise below demand.
Oh yeah. So that's how firms in cartels or monopolies are going to make their production decision, right? So this is the marginal cost, this will be the demand, and this is the marginal revenue, right? So instead of making their decision here, which will be the market equilibrium, they will make it where their marginal revenue equals the marginal cost. So it'll be here. And that's how they will maximize their profits.
So this is what market failure, right?
This is market failure, yeah. So all these class can be summarized in one thing, the equimarginal principle. I don't know if that's the abbreviation, but I just made it up. So what is the equimarginal principle? That everything that is in the margin is going to maximize something. Yeah? If we are talking about social benefits, every time our marginal net benefits or social marginal net benefits equals social marginal cost, that's when we maximize things. If we're talking about consumers, every time our marginal utility equals the price, that's when we maximize. Producers, every time our marginal cost equals the price, that's when we maximize. Yeah? So all the class can be summarized in this equimarginal principle. So when this is broken, when this assumption is broken, then that's when we start having problems. So if social marginal something is not equal to social marginal something, market failure. If marginal utility is not equal to marginal cost, market failure. Yeah?
What's NV?
Oh, no, it's MU. Marginal utility.
That's supposed to be social marginal net cost.
Which, this is marginal, social marginal net benefits.
No, and then that's net cost.
Yeah. Actually, it's not net.
So
Sorry.
marginal
Social marginal benefits, you're right.
marginal cost equal to marginal revenue would not be under that category.
No, because
That's when
Yeah.
the monopoly is maximizing its
Mhm.
profit, and that leads to inefficiency.
Yeah.
But that is efficiency under perfect competition of competitive markets.
Mhm. So is that clear? Last question? No? Let me see if there's another question here, then we'll finish.
So when you were comparing the 130,
Huh?
when you were comparing the 130 and the $150 when you were doing that upgrade, it said sell now, sell later. Why did you use the list that you wanted to later? That was just to determine.
Okay, let's do it again. So I have, this is my present value, right? And then I have like an expected future value of 150. Yeah? The rate of interest is 0.3. What is the formula for calculating future value?
1 plus R.
Uh-huh. In this case, right? So it'll be 130. So the future value of my $100 will be 130. However, the value that I'm expecting from whatever asset I have that is worth $100 today is 150, right? So this is greater than this. So therefore, you wait and sell it in the next period. You can do it the other way around and calculate what's the present value of $150. Yeah? And that will give you basically the same answer. This is going to be greater than 130 or yeah, greater than 100, and then you'll make the same decision. So you can do it either way. Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay.